Here's the good news and here's the bad news. The bad news is that they took about a $3.5 billion hit, which was to be expected, which is certainly is not unusual given that they're in the media and entertainment space at the height of a pandemic. The good news is that they've got about 100 million paid subscribers across all their streaming networks. So, at the end of the day, all things considered, obviously short term, I think it's going to be very challenging for the company, but long term, this is certainly a company that I really like. So.
I want to get to the streaming a little bit later, but right now, let's talk about the theme parks, not just in the United States, but globally. I was in Florida when it reopened, and I got to tell you, the parking decks, everything seemed to be completely vacant. Usually on that street, you see so many people walking up and down, going from place to place, virtually a ghost town. Tell me about reopening, the risks involved in that, and how do you think it's affecting the company right now?
Sure. Unfortunately, the morale within the company, you've got about 100,000 people unemployed right now. So that's very, very challenging for the community, for their economy, for the company, for the stock. But I would say, all things considered, they've been taking the proper precautions, and I think it's a great case study too, because they've got the temperature checks, they're going to be moving to 50% capacity. And one thing, Disney is doing it right. They're not taking shortcuts. They're not sacrificing their employees' health, customers' health. So I happen to say, all things considered, Sean, I think the company is doing it right. It's going to be slow and steady. It's not going to be a V-shaped snapback in any shape or form. But in terms of doing it right, correctly, I think they're a great company that people should follow.
Yeah, the last thing I think I would presume they want to do is affect that brand name, which is, globally known. What about internationally? There are other theme parks. How are they faring? How is that affecting the bottom line?
Sure. So they're all following pretty much the American market. Obviously, we're hit a lot worse than some of the other countries, but all the other theme parks are taking the proper precautions. And Disney's management is top notch. They're not taking any shortcuts whatsoever. They're being extremely conservative. Once things open up, they're going to be looking at 50% capacity. So it's going to be a slow and steady, not a snapback by any stretch of the imagination.
Disney is, again, one of these companies that has its fingers in so many different pies. I want to talk a bit about broadcasting, ESPN, and also the NBA. That's what they're doing, putting all the teams under that bubble. I can't imagine anything like this has ever been tried before. And for all the hiccups, is it working?
I think so. Again, this is uncharted territory for everyone, every corporation, private and public. I happen to like, again, what Disney is doing in terms of processes, procedures, protocols. They're taking a very, very conservative approach. They're very conscious of their customers. They're very conscious of their employees, and they're doing it the right way. We've seen, and I observed a lot of companies that are running back into the office, they're running back into business, which I personally think is a huge mistake. And especially we're talking about this possible second wave right now. So nobody wants to come close to that. And I think Disney, again, is doing a great job in terms of handling themselves.
Yeah, and also trying to finish the NBA season, getting as many games on ESPN, one of its entities as well. Cable isn't doing very well right now. There are virtually no sports out there. ESPN is a big drag on the company right now. It's not going to be forever. How do they get through this?
They're going to have to weather the storm. I think the only thing is time. I don't think there's a secret sauce in any shape or form. I think their content is good. There's no way that they're going to be able to come back without time. And until there's a vaccine out there, it's just unfortunately it's just a waiting game.
Okay, we've kind of kicked them for the last 4 minutes. Let's talk about the golden goose right now. Their streaming entity, and I'm pretty sure it's mandatory in the United States for everybody to watch Hamilton online. That's all anybody's talking about. Certainly that has been a boon for the company as well. What has it meant?
Yeah, I mean, everyone obviously, I mean, their entertainment division is absolutely incredible. A lot of people obviously are not going into the theaters. They are watching the stuff at home. Their subscribers have built up considerably because of it. So I do think at the end of the day, it's going to be somewhat of a wash because their subscriber base, again, is about 100 million right now across all their streaming services. So although their parks are suffering, their the streaming networks and content is increasing.